Hello and welcome, let me just turn that music down a bit, to a show that we are calling Creative Therapy live. And this is a lockdown edition of a live show we're calling Creative Therapy. Can you hear us if anyone's out there, if anyone's watching? I don't think we've really got any viewers live, but we knew that would happen. We're a new channel and the purpose of this was to do it live because it's fun, but also it goes on the YouTube channel anyway after the fact, so people can watch it then if they need to. But I just wanted to, I'm going to fade that music out, there we go, and stop that. I'm running it live, as you can see, the music, so there's that. So if I appear slightly distracted, it's because I'm also running the show, which is sort of perfect for this edition that we are calling Tech Addiction. So I just wanted to say a couple of words about what this channel is and what this creative therapy program is. We've been doing this this lockdown edition for a few weeks now, and it's a show we've been talking about doing for quite a long time, and then lockdown and the virus and the pandemic came along, and it kind of forced our hand, and we thought, hey, why not just get on and do it live and put something out there in a sort of rough and ready kind of way, a bit of a winged way maybe. And so Steve and I, who I shall introduce you to now, is been joining me for these shows, and we've decided, hey Steve, can you hear me? Yeah,
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, I think. Hopefully if anyone's watching, let us know if you can hear us and if our audio sounds good. All the housekeeping things. Does the picture look good, or does the audio sound good? Can you hear us both? Because we started doing these live at the very beginning, didn't we, Steve? And we had all sorts of problems. I think we managed to get one live show out with a few audio problems and stuff. I think we've ironed those out. And
yeah, I think so. It's taken a while, but I think we're getting there now, aren't we?
Yeah, I think so. I think well, hopefully this one's working. We did one live last week, and it seemed to work as a sort of test. We didn't tell anyone we were doing it live. We just kind of went out and did it, and it seemed to work. So now we've kind of advertised this a little bit, and so yeah, so here we are. So we're doing these rough and ready, the lockdown editions of this show. We're calling them, which basically means we've probably done no preparation or research or anything. They're a bit more rough and ready. They're a bit more us just winging it a little bit. I think when the lockdown's over and we set this up a bit more properly, and Steve's potentially in the, you know, when we're sat next to each other doing these properly, or even by Skype, because I think we've really managed to get some nice looking images through here. I think the idea is that we'll revisit probably the subjects we're talking here and go a bit more in depth, and probably do a bit more research and put together a bit more of a quality show. But I say that, I think this is looking pretty good. What do you think, Steve?
So far, touch wood. What do I touch that's wood? There's a stool here, I'm touching that. Compared to some of the other, nightmarish kind of attempts that we've had in the past, this does look, fingers crossed, really nice all around. Sounds good, looks good. Just hope that we do have one comment there. I think that someone said audio and picture good. So fingers crossed that continues.
Excellent. I'm going to push this button here when I can find it. There we go. It's to say who us very quickly. You have to look very quick to see our names pop up. Yeah, great. It's good stuff. So today, first of all, what we try and do at these programs, and those regular viewers, the regular viewer will know, we try and do a lockdown beard update, because this isn't normal. I don't normally have this. Steve doesn't normally have that. How's yours coming along? Yours, Steve, actually looks like it's, there's actually news on this beard update, because yours looks different.
There have been developments. Yeah, I in previous episodes I was fairly kind of Father Christmas, but I'd never got past the itchy stage that people said does go, and I got just really fed up with it on the cheeks and jawline. I do normally actually have a little bit of a goatee, so I kind of hack the sides off, and I've kind of I've kept the length the same, but gone for a bit of a Emperor Ming kind of look. I just need the eyebrows.
Yeah, now. That's a full goatee going on right there, isn't it? Yeah, I tend to I've again, like you, have a goatee, which is why I've got this crazy weird goatee bit here, which is sort of not your normal if you do that, which actually I quite like. I like this little extra bit because I've got quite a long face anyway. It just makes it even longer. Crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Like an
mine's not itchy as such. It's not. It seems to be all right. It went through a bit of an itchy phase, but now it's fine. I do love sitting here and playing with it and fiddling with it. And if I forget that I've done that and then I go and speak to someone or see someone or go on camera, it's all kind of all over the place like this. It's all so you've got to remember to give it a good old sorting out. But
that was the thing that I really found sitting in front of the TV or in front of the computer. I just wouldn't leave it alone. And we're in times when you're not supposed to be touching your face. I don't think I've ever touched my face so much when I had a beard.
Yeah.
I was just brushing it all the time and fiddling with it
But have you found? It's always good to start a sentence and then take a sip of coffee.
It is, I think so.
That's another reason we're doing these lockdown shows. It's really for us to sort of find our feet with this channel, with YouTube, with being on camera. This is kind of a sort of blank canvas for us to experiment. And, this show in a year's time will probably be completely different, look completely different, feel completely different. This is really a blank canvas. That's why we've called them the beta, the sort of lockdown editions, or the Mindspeak beta. It's kind of us to experiment. But yes. So what were we talking about? I completely lost the train of thought. Brilliant.
I think you were saying that because we both went off at a slight tangent, and you were going to talk about how this is probably a bit of a training kind of exercise at this point during the beta kind of lockdown sessions until we become more slick and more professional as we go further along the episodes. So if you're now in the future and you're watching episode 5426, go back and have a look at episode 4 and see how different it is.
This is, in fact, Steve, episode 5, I believe. But yeah, look at episode 4 as well. I think this is probably the slickest. You've sorted out your camera. I must stop looking at the screen that's the YouTube feed because it's about 20 seconds out, and I'm talking and I could just see you talking because it's 20 seconds ago. So it's really confusing.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's all good fun. I'm pleased with the way this is working and happening, and I think we've sort of nailed it, although that's probably a massive mistake to say. So, because in the interest of time, we try and keep these shows of a certain length. We try and not go over 20 minutes, but they usually end up on closer to 30, maybe, because we just like to chit-chat about stuff and we go off-piste a bit, don't we? But if you're watching, let us know in the comments and join in the discussion. We'll throw it out if we do get a few people watching, to bring some comments in and chat about that. But we're also aware that there's probably very few people watching at this stage. So if you're watching this after the fact, then you can still comment and they'll go in the comments below the show and we'll respond to those and chat about those. But yeah, so tech addiction, that's what we're talking about today. I think both Steve and I, being sort of filmmakers, photographers, people who work in quite a gadgety, techie sort of field, know a lot about tech and potentially tech addiction. I did pull up, let me see if I can get this on the screen, a definition of addiction. And it made me feel much better because obviously addiction is quite a nasty thing. And I don't think I've got tech addiction. Read this, Steve, and see if you've got tech addiction. This is just addiction, though. So it says here that addiction is the state of being enslaved to a habit or practice or to something that is psychologically or physically habit forming, as narcotics, to such an extent that is cessation causes severe trauma. I've never heard of the word cessation. Am I saying that right?
It is cessation, yeah. Stopping something. That's what that means, yeah. Cessation. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, maybe addiction was possibly an extreme word to use for what we've got, because I don't think either of us have necessarily got an addiction to tech. We've got what's another word for it? And
love.
We've got a love of tech.
A respectful love.
If either of us were, broke and homeless, we wouldn't, be going out selling a kidney to buy a new camera. Well, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't. I'm pretty sure you wouldn't, no. Julian, I hope. So addiction
I've got no kidneys left. Have you seen my latest camera? Yeah, addiction is a strong word. But having done, I did decide to sort of Google tech addiction, and I then planned to read a couple of articles about it, but then actually never got round because we're in lockdown and we've got children clambering all over you all the time. See a previous episode where we talk about a bit more about that. It does, well, from just reading the headings and the first thing, there is a thing out there, isn't there? There is this thing, and we probably use it lightly to sort of joke about the fact that we might have it because we're both partial to a new bit of kit, a new bit of tech, and we'll perhaps go on to talk about, if we've got time, sort of why we think that is. But obviously, it is actually quite a serious thing, and I think when we go back to this subject in a proper show, as I'm sort of calling it, it would be nice, maybe a longer form show to just to look into that a bit more deeply.
Maybe another word for it someone has said to me in the past is shiny-itis. It's one of those things, you always want the brand new thing on the market and the next step up from what you've currently got. It's always, look at that, it's nice and shiny, I want it. Generally, I think for me, it's restricted to the things I'm interested in. I don't get shiny-itis about a new football kit or something because I'm not into football. So
I think for us it's true. We do use the kit, and I think we've, I've got examples where I've probably not used the thing I've spent a load of money on enough, but I felt I would use it. It would be useful to have. That's part of the thing, because actually I think I'm actually very good at giving myself that cooling off period. I don't just knee-jerk reaction to buy stuff. I think I'll look into it, I'll research it heavily. I'm actually not that bothered about the latest stuff all the time. I think if I was wealthier, I might be a bit more, but I have to do a lot of research and justify the expense of it. And
see, that's the flip side of it, isn't it? Because I think sometimes that tech addiction or the shiny-itis that we have sometimes paralyzes you. Sometimes because you want the next best thing, that tomorrow there's going to be an even better thing out than the thing that you're lusting over today. So it paralyzes you to a degree. And I definitely guilty of this. I should have upgraded my camera kit a long time ago, but I keep thinking, I want one of these. I want this particular camera. But then, you start looking, you put a wish list together and all the accessories that go along with it. And then just as you're about to click order, you suddenly see, there's another one coming out that's several more K, in resolution, and it does this and it does that, and it paralyzes you and you don't go anywhere, which is where I've been.
And that's recently the problem. There's always going to be something better coming along. And at the moment, tech companies seem to be working at such a speed, and they are sort of making a model of something. And then before, do you take the plunge? Do you buy it? But before you know it, almost within a year, there's another one out. It's almost, iPhones, they seem to have a sort of a running order of when they produce these. There seem to be dates. I never really pay attention to that, but it just seems to me they come out quite regularly now. And the stuff we use. I mean, I think what we hopefully do is, because we're lucky enough in a sense to run businesses that require the tech, and maybe we've done this consciously, is that we've run our own businesses that require a certain amount of tech, and so I end up buying a lot of the toys, and I hate to use that term because I think I don't want to call them toys, because they are tools that you use to create with or to work with, but that they are kind of toys for us in a way, aren't they? But we're lucky enough to sort of justify the stuff we buy, because or most of it, because we use it, and hopefully we use it, and we use it for work and business, and hopefully it pays for itself, and we can put it through the business in theory,
Exactly. Yeah.
So I guess it's a slightly different situation for us than for someone who just buys a load of gadgets and stuff and they're kicking around the house and they're not using them, or they're using them and there's no real use for them. I mean, I do think all the kit we have serves a purpose, and I do have kit that doesn't get used as much as it should. Drone. But, but
don't beat yourself up too much, because case in point, what we're doing right now, you've got a lot of live streaming stuff there. You've got the kit that you kind of built up, and I know that you use some of it to a degree in the Bottled Imp show that you also produce. But so to a degree, I know you were feeling a little bit frustrated that you weren't able to use it as much as you'd like, and now this is a perfect opportunity to bring all that stuff
exactly
out, get it used.
That's the thing, and as long as you don't procrastinate, see our other shows, too long, and then by the time you start using it, the kit is sort of outdated and there's new kit. But actually, if it does the job that it's set out to do, then it does the job. And I mean, I'm a professional photographer, and I still use a Nikon camera that is yonks old. I mean, there are many incarnations of that camera that have come out since, but it's a camera. It serves the purpose. It's got the right, I'd like the latest one. It's got a bit better ISO performance, but when this one came out, it had the best ISO performance of any camera. So it does the job. There's always something better, but actually it's a tool. It works for you, and I think part of the reason as well for setting up this channel and doing this stuff and wanting to do the live stuff. I mean, why are we doing live stuff? We've got no viewers live, but so apologies to Darren if he's still watching. We have a viewer live potentially, but it's ultimately probably to sort of use the equipment a bit more that we've got. And actually, I quite like the fact they're live and not recorded, and it's done and it's out there, and it puts you on the spot, and you don't edit, and there's no jump cuts in between us, So it's good. It's really good practice, I think, doing stuff live. So there's lots of reasons for it, but part of it is to use the ridiculous amount of equipment in front of me, and I'm not even using half of it, to be honest, because we've only got one camera on me, Yeah. But when I set it up in the studio,
there's also the argument that having all the latest kit doesn't necessarily make you a better filmmaker, photographer, insert your profession here, because we all know the examples of those people out there that say, for example, a feature film that has been shot on a £500 camera. We all know examples of that sort of thing, and it looks lovely and it projects well on a big screen at a cinema. I know examples of that, but at the end of the day, it's almost irrelevant. It's all about the story, and if the story's no good, it doesn't matter if it's shot on a Super 8 camera or whether it's shot on a red Monstro or whatever they're called, with 6
absolutely.
or 8,000K or whatever.
It's the right tool for the job, isn't it?
Story.
Absolutely,
exactly.
All about the story, and I do, and I think I touched on this last time or in one of our episodes about the fact that I do have that sort of, and again, going into this creative therapy thing, which is about analysing ourselves a little bit, I think, that, if I had that would really sort of inspire me or motivate me to then make this short film that I've been procrastinating over. So I do suffer from that a little bit, but luckily I do have that cooling off period. I will think that through. I might at the end of the day get it anyway, but and sometimes that does make me go out and do more stuff because I'm using that new tool, and hopefully, but actually, you don't really need that tool. You need to sit down and write that damn script and film it with the stuff you've got. We're lucky to have a lot more equipment than probably a lot of people who want to make a film.
Exactly. In which case, relate it to us now and bringing it into lockdown. I saw, interestingly, I think it may have been today, it must have been fate, I saw a meme that said something along the lines of a package a day keeps the doctor away, and that really has been true for me over the course of lockdown. I do buy a lot of stuff anyway, and I do get a lot of deliveries from a certain well-known online company. That has been happening a lot during lockdown. For example, today, just before the show started, it's silly things like I needed a new cable for my Mac. I needed a new a dongle for my USB-C to go into my Mac, all this sort of stuff. Yeah, exactly. We all need a dongle. And 3 packages arrived just before the show, and that is an average day. I don't know about you, mate.
I've got to say, when you sent me that picture of the stuff that arrived just before the show, I said this is appropriate. I was kind of disappointed at what the stuff was, because it was just I had to do that. I had to buy a new power cable for the Mac, and I don't even start me off about my rant about how much they cost, but because my one had broken, and you've got another one, and that sort of stuff you kind of need. It's not fun, is it? Like a power cable.
I know, but it keeps the wolf at bay, don't you think? I mean, if you can't go out and buy that 15 grand camera, if you buy several packages that kind of just keep you happy enough until you can afford the new thing, that goes for me anyway. I know.
We do. I've got this addiction at buying. This isn't sort of tech. So it's my addiction now is for anyone who knows what a Plex server is. I've got this thing. It's kind of your own personal Netflix, where you put all your own DVDs onto a server and you have access to them like Netflix. It has all the cover art and stuff like that. So now I'm completely addicted at buying. And luckily, I don't. Beauty of DVD is you can buy second-hand ones in charity shops for 50p or a quid. But going out finding great films for 50p or a quid and putting them on the server, and going on Amazon where you can go to the third-party sellers and find Music Magpie and all that. So I'm really addicted. I've just got packages of DVDs coming through, and then they all go in a box and go up in the loft, which is ridiculous. Or I should just give them back to the charity shop, but then that's dodgy.
And that's
as far
probably
as you've got to own them to have a copy. But
physical media is actually with what's going on in the world, we won't get too political, make comment about what's going on. It's sad what's going on, but there's things like films and TV shows and comedies and stuff like that that are being taken off of streaming services and stuff like that because of the content, because of the nature of the content, but it's basically making that content in a physical form desirable for some people. And so apparently people have, I'll use an example. Gone with the Wind has been taken down from Netflix
Really?
Netflix. Until they can get a proper. They're putting a little kind of, I don't know, write up on there to explain the situation as a bit of a kind of explanation. And until they can sort that out, it's been taken down. But it's making things like that more desirable and more expensive as a result, because people who were relying on streaming stuff now are going to be forced to go back to physical media. So buying stuff. Physical stuff that comes through the door.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've got to go off on a tangent as we like to do. Yeah, I like to own stuff. I still buy a CD if there's an album I like. I have, Amazon Unlimited Music. We use it all the time. I'm way too lazy to sort of open up the drawer of the CD player and put a disc in or find it. And then it, gets to the end and you have to change it. I mean, oh my God, But
it's crazy though,
so it's changed my life, Amazon Music. And I swore I'd never listen to streaming music services. I like having CDs, because actually it's a record collection, like an album. There's an album collection just, you can't see it behind me, all my old vinyl. I like owning it, and I think because especially with music, you pass that down to your children, and that's your collection of music that sort of means something. So I'll still buy a CD, and DVDs I've still got on shelves behind me, rows and rows of DVDs in the corner there. You can probably just about see those. But I've been sieving out and just leaving now. I'm putting in a box and taking up to the loft because I don't actually access them now because they're all on the server, so I can just access them digitally. Yeah. It remembers where you are if you have to stop halfway through. It's brilliant for when you've got little kids and you're not swapping discs all the time. So it's great technology. Oh look, we've got a few people. Fantasy Apprentice is back. Hello, and Darren's still there, I think. So we've got a little 2 or 3 viewers, which is lovely. The audio is amazing. I can hear you, but I tell you what, I'm going to try something. I'm going to try something to interact with our viewers.
While you're doing that, I'll just talk about something similar because I'm into physical media too. But last week and a week before, I decided I wanted to rewatch The Lord of the Rings, and I have the full extended editions on my shelf. I could have easily taken the 4 steps to the shelf and taken those editions out to watch the films. But I thought, well, no, it's on Netflix or Amazon, I can't remember which. So I got half an hour into the first one, and I thought, this doesn't seem the way I remember it. And then I quickly looked at the duration of it, and it wasn't the extended editions with all the kind of deleted scenes in it. So that was an example of where I switched it off the streaming service and actually got up to the cabinet and got the actual physical DVDs out and watched the extended, the 3+ hour version, because I wanted the full experience.
We've totally gone off piste here, and this is probably another subject for the Mindspew channel rather than the Creative Therapy channel, where we can just sort of put anything we want out, and I think that's relative to stuff. I think that was the purpose of the overall channel. But I watched a film the other day. When a film comes up on Film 4 or Channel 4 or something, I sort of grab it on the TiVo and I watched it, and you can tell when something's been edited for TV. Are they still editing things for TV? It's on after 9, but there was an action sequence. I go, they would no way would they have cut that like that, where you basically something happens, it's built up to something, and then you don't really see the gore or the whatever or stuff. And they're still editing stuff for telly. It drives me up the wall. I'd rather get it on DVD and watch it.
I know. I guess as well, they're Film 4 does it have adverts in the middle of the films? I can't remember.
Yeah.
So maybe they're editing around timings.
Don't cut a film. I want to see it as the director intended, but that is a subject for another matter. Let's bring it on back to lockdown tech. So we are. I think looking at the time, 23 minutes into this. I think we've got.
Maybe quickly, what do you think is the most expensive purchase that you in the previous 12 weeks?
I thought you were going to say generally. Don't ask me
I'm not going to go there because I think I probably know what that was. But I'm just thinking, because this is a lockdown session, let's just talk about lockdown.
I think I've been
the last 12 weeks.
I was trying to think. I don't think I've. I could be wrong. I don't think I've spent a massive amount. I mean, as we say, we can justify stuff by putting. Let's just go to a comment before I answer that, because we're live. It's important to include comments, and because I can. It's strange. That doesn't scroll up. Here we go. Look how cool this is. I agree with you, Steve. I have physical movies myself, and they're amazing. Yeah, that's Fantasy Apprentice saying that. Right. And how cool that pops up on the screen. We're winning at this live streaming shiz here. Yeah, physical movies. Yeah, Steve, both and I love a physical movie. Although I do rip it and then watch it digitally, off the thing. I
At least
don't
you
put the
own it.
DVD
Yeah,
in. I own it, and you have to own it. I'm not about the pirating thing, even though it's a grey area. That pirating
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Apparently, they say you're allowed to rip one personal copy as a backup and to put on systems like this. They need to change this soon because everyone's watching things digitally. But also, Netflix and Amazon remove stuff off there. I mean, there's a kids film that we love that Caspian and I love, and it's on Netflix. I want to buy it on a DVD, even though it's on the streaming service we subscribe to. So it's like, why should I? But that might not be on there in a year's time. They might pull it off. So I want a copy of it.
Yeah. No. I mean, going back, switching the subject again, this is going to confuse people. But back to lockdown purchases. I mean, you were saying you probably haven't bought anything that expensive.
I have bought something I shall tell you in a minute.
Okay, well, I'll just jump in there quickly. I think the most expensive thing, which wasn't that expensive, was a graphics tablet. I have a Wacom tablet because I do a bit of cartooning and drawing and stuff. And I've got a Cintiq or whatever it's called, which I used to use on my old PC, and now I'm fully Mac. I wanted to kind of have a more maybe more mobile graphics tablet, and it was an XP Pen graphics tablet. It's pretty big. It's a decent size. It's only $250, something like that. I can't remember, but that's probably the most expensive thing I've bought during lockdown. Over to you.
Yes, and I have that very graphics tablet myself, which I just don't use enough. That's one of those things, actually, that was pre-lockdown that I ummed and ahed about for quite a long time. Thought about it. I do have a Wacom one that isn't the built-in screen one, so you're doing a tablet and you're looking at the screen, and I thought, it'd be cool to have something that you do like that, and it seems quite cool. But I haven't. It's to do with time as well. I don't have time to sit and play with it and just do those little artistic things. And you're a cartoonist and an artist as well, so it's much better for you to have one than me, who isn't the most fantastic doodler.
Although people do use them to edit, don't they? You can use them. I don't know how they necessarily do it, but I do know that people can use a pen.
I used to use the Wacom one with a pen because I didn't have a mouse and I can't stand the touchpad, so I used that, and you can move around much like a mouse. I think I used to sit in Starbucks with it on my lap and have the laptop in front of me and do that. But it comes into its own when you draw.
We've got some comments there about lockdown purchases. A Fantasy Apprentice has said the most expensive thing they've bought is during lockdown is a Treasure Island board game. I don't really know what that. I mean, you might know a bit more about the Treasure Island board game than I do. But
it sounds like a board game.
I also don't know how much 700 Norwegian kroner is.
Yeah, what's 700? Hang on a minute. Shall we ask Alexa what 700 Norwegian kroner is in English pounds? I don't know. We need to get some kind of context. Those comments disappear too quickly, so note to myself is to change that. Yeah, I like physical vinyl music and I stream. Hang on a minute. This thing doesn't actually scroll, which is really annoying, so I have to scroll back myself. Yeah, Darren, I like physical vinyl music and stream most other things. Totally. Yeah, that I did and ah for a long time, going back to that purchase of the tablet and whether I need it. And eventually I cave in. I think about it for a few weeks. I hope the feeling dies away, and it doesn't, and you end up getting it, But no, what I've bought this lockdown, and I've got it right here behind me, is this. And this, for anyone, this is we're slightly pimped out with the microphone, but this is a gimbal for my phone. So this, I haven't got it in here because I was using my phone, but this will sit in here, and this is like a little Steadicam gimbal thing. It's a lovely little thing, a Ronin Mojo. No, not a Mojo. A Ronin.
It's not a Ronin.
Osmo 3 or something. It's not a Ronin. It's a DJI Mobile Osmo Mobile 3, and it's and I've got an external microphone attached to that, a Rode microphone, because the iPhone mic isn't great. And you put this in
Julian's now got two gimbals that he won't use.
That's well, we own a gimbal, don't we, for bigger cameras, which I will use. I will dig out. The thing is with that, it's a pain in the arse to balance the camera, and you really have to get practiced at it and get it good. Whereas this, you put in, you balance it very quickly and you get it. I'm not a fan of using a mobile phone for. I'm going to put this down for a minute. This is a little tripod it sits on. Does some amazing things. It's really cool. I've not played with it that much already, but we're on lockdown.
Has it got? Because I've got the Xeon Tech one, and it's got the button on it that's got various settings in it. You can press 3 times and it transfers into selfie mode. Have you got that?
Yeah, it's got.
Which is really good if I've taken it skiing before, and if you're going down the hill and you're going downhill, you could just press it 3 times and whip it round and get a nice shot of you.
Does all that? I mean,
yeah.
It's all about the. Hang on a minute. Oh no, we'll read that comment in a minute. I thought that was 58,000 British pounds, but
we're going to have to ask the fancy Apprentice some questions about affordability.
£58.49.
I think
I
so.
presume.
Yeah, it must
Yeah.
be. It's not.
Okay, that's
it's
how
not
much
just
the game costs. That doesn't seem unreasonable when a computer game costs £50 or
No, exactly,
£60.
and it's
But
a
yeah,
physical thing. Again, going back to our obsession with something physical, board games are nice and touchy feely, aren't they? And
yeah,
yeah, when we finished here, I'm gonna get on Google and look that up and see what it looks like. I'll be interested to see that.
yeah. So yeah, going back to that, that's a thing that gives you nice steady shots, video and stuff like that. I don't shoot a massive amount with my phone other than home movies and like my children and stuff like that. But I do like to do a sort of holiday movie and stuff, and it's nice to get that. So it's not something that's massively needed. I think I got it because it has this great feature that you can stick it in the corner, and you can do a little. It's all in the software. You draw a little box around like your 3-year-old. And it will automatically move around and follow wherever he's going and track him. So when he's dancing, I can subtly record him being a little nut job dancing around the thing.
Is he self-conscious about being on film?
He's getting used to it, but as soon as you get the camera out and you do that, he might he basically wants to come around and look at it, and he wants to play with it, or tell you to put the phone away, rightly so. So I thought that would be a nice subtle thing. And I am prone to, in this lockdown, trying to edit our holiday videos together. So I thought, well, this would be a lovely way of just getting some smooth shots. And I took a little bit, played around with it, and it does add a little bit more of a cinematic quality to your footage because it's just a bit more sweeping and stuff. It was also a bit of a bargain. It really wasn't very expensive, in the scheme of things as far as kit goes. So I thought that would be useful. And actually, for this channel as well, I want part of this whole concept of mind dispute and things like that is that we have different sections, creative therapy being one of them. I wanted to also talk about the fact. And as we're talking about kit and stuff today, we have got another section that we haven't started up yet. And when lockdown's over and we start doing the channel properly, is that we are sort of tentatively titling Creative Kit, where we, not necessarily a tech show, not necessarily an unboxing show, but a show where we do talk about the tech and the kit. We both like the stuff, but in a creative fashion and how it's used creatively and what benefits it gives you in a creative fashion. So that is another segment of this show when we get this thing up and running in a non-lockdown pandemic situation. Also, the plan was to kind of maybe also have some vlogs and some stuff as well. We're both planning on making some more films, hopefully, when all this blows over, and we can document that and vlog that and do some vlogs and stuff like that. So this channel will be a whole bunch of stuff, but with the umbrella theme of creativity, I think, and that's the sort of overall glue that will bind it all together. Am I right, Steve?
Yes, you are. Yeah, sorry, I got distracted about a question there. Did I go to drawing class? I never went to...
I knew I shouldn't have let you access the screen and be able to see what's going on as well, because you can read the comments. No, it doesn't matter. It's fine. Where is that? Let me add that. Let me add that. Is there a? Oh, did you go? Yeah. Steve, did you go?
Yeah, I did a graphic design diploma many years ago, but I think the drawing cartoons and stuff like that was just something that I've done from a kid. I remember sitting in front of my parents and trying to sketch them and drawing cartoons from comics that I really liked and stuff like that. So it's just one of those things. I think I've just practiced on my own, really.
And we will do another show where we sort of talk about probably us a bit more. In fact, we have filmed one already before lockdown in the studio. We filmed three or four shows as a kind of practice and trial. But before we were having to do this sort of weird home studio Skyping in thing, we did set it up and film some shows, which we sort of didn't put out. They're edited, they're ready to go. I think I felt while the channel is new, do people want to listen to random blokes that they've never seen or heard of before talk about their background and what they did in the past and their creative frustrations?
Isn't that what the internet's all about? Looking
probably,
at random people that you don't know.
Probably is, but I think my feeling was I'd like to save those until we build up a few subscribers and a little bit of audience, and then we can put those out, because then they'll have a bit of context to who we are, and then we will put them out. They will go out at some point, and we would have less hair on our chins and maybe more. Certainly have more hair on my head, but because they were filmed pre-lockdown. But no, they will go out, and they're good. I watched them back, and they're good. Good shows, but I think we can save those for some point. And we will. And why I said that is because we will go into talking about, Steve is a man of many talents, and drawing is just one of them. Filmmaking is another. He's in a band, so there's lots of stuff we can talk about us, but in a bigger sense of creativity and frustrations, which is again what this channel is all about. Exactly, so tell your friends all about it and subscribe, so we've got a few people to actually do these shows for.
Exactly, that'd be fun. We're at 34 minutes, so we've kind of, as we do when we're in person, we've whittled on a bit.
Absolutely. I think we do whittle on a bit. I hope it's of interest. Let us know. Write in the comments if you're watching this after the live event. I've enjoyed this. I don't know. Have we looked at our checklist of subjects that we were going to cover?
It's
Have
all
we pretty
covered.
much-
Yeah, I think
we're all
we covered the main, the bulk of it in the general conversation about lockdown and shiny-itis and.
I mean,
you know,
yeah.
tech.
As usual, we could go in. We could do these for an hour, for two. I mean, I think we could go on for ages, and I think we've got plans to do other shows and other types of sort of thing with this creative therapy platform, and the plan is to sort of interview other creatives. It's not just always going to be me and Steve. I think at the moment it is, as we establish this and find our feet with it. But the plan is certainly to have, when we're back in the studio, have guests and talk to them about their creative frustrations and issues and what they do, and a little bit about where they come from. And also, actually, now this Skype thing is looking so nice. Admittedly, when we have a guest, they'll just be on their webcam, no doubt, so they won't look as gorgeously sexy as Steve does over there. But this is sort of working, and I think it's working quite well. And so we can actually Skype people in and interview them. Either I'll do that. I don't think my computer can handle a three-way. But so either I'll interview them, or in a sense, or Steve will interview them, or do a pre-record and we'll put it in. So yeah, it'll, Steve's going to get quite busy shortly when the lockdown's over. So hopefully you'll still be a regular feature co-host.
Fingers crossed.
But yeah, you might be a bit. You don't know yet, do you? You might be a bit
know
snowed
yet.
under with stuff. But we'll certainly,
Yeah.
you'll have to film secretly to put out in
Exactly.
a few years'
Yeah.
time. In
There'll
retrospect.
be ways around it. Yeah. I'm sure we'll find ways around it. Yeah. But that's a very nice comment, Fantasy Apprentice. That's quite a mouthful as well, Fantasy Apprentice.
Yeah, fancy.
So, but
I'm
thank
going to
you
put
very
that one
much.
up. I want to
That's a very
change
nice
it so it doesn't stay on, so it doesn't. That'll disappear after 5 seconds, and it's gone. So I'm going to put it back up because it's worth putting up twice. Thank you.
So good, they named it twice.
And thanks for joining us. And thanks Darren as well for joining us. It's a matter. We're not marketing these massively heavily. I think while we're finding our feet and getting used to it and figuring out whether it will. I think we made the mistake at the beginning of pushing it a little bit, and then people went to watch it and it all fell apart and didn't work. So I think now we feel a little more confident, touch wood, it works. We'll perhaps promote these a little more. I think we're always self-conscious, as we spoke about in previous episodes, about putting ourselves out there. And these creative therapy shows are a little bit personal, I think, especially to sort of family and friends and stuff like that. Strangers, I don't mind. I can talk to strangers about stuff. But I think until we're sort of confident that we feel this is of interest, it's hard to know, isn't it? It might be of interest to some people. Jade was wondering why I was watching. My daughter was wondering why I was watching an hour-long live stream of two blokes just talking about a piece of software for an hour. And I was saying, well, because I'm interested in the software and I want to learn about it, I was interested. But I could see how this is the most dull, boring thing in the world to anyone else. But
it'll be interesting to someone, and hopefully
we need to find our audience, don't we? We need to find our audience.
Yeah.
So, shall we wrap this up?
Let's wrap this up.
Thank you, Steve, for joining us and doing this again. We will attempt to be back next Thursday. At the moment, we seem to be putting these out Thursday. Probably 3:00 isn't the best time either. I don't know. People probably still work. Is work still a thing? Do people still work?
I guess some people work from home, and there's homeschooling, and there's just looking after kids, full stop.
I think maybe we'd do an evening one at some point. We talked about doing an evening one with a nice glass of wine, didn't we? And perhaps a longer form, an hour.
Exactly, and that may even be one of the solutions when when stuff changes for me in the future.
Yeah.
So it's definitely up for that.
But even on this lockdown, maybe we choose a sort of Thursday evening or an evening or something, and we do a longer form chat, live chat, get a few more people on board to join in, a bit more, perhaps not specifically about a subject, a bit more open-ended as a sort of a lockdown, a creative therapy lockdown late night special.
Oh yeah,
we can have the microphones nice and close, and we can have a bit of. Let me just get this going. Anyway, we should wrap this up. I'm whittling on. Let's.
Okay, mate.
Yes.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for those who commented and those watching. It's good to interact.
Yeah. So thank you. See you next week. Hopefully, come back, spread the word, and let's go to the end plate. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Right. We should be muted now.
Oh, annoyingly, I don't know whether you noticed. I
Hold
leant
on a
across.
second. Hang on. Sorry. They could hear us.